how bad do you want it, and how far are you willing to go to get it? In,
Okay.
in
Can you
terms
give
of
us?
life goals.
Okay. Can you give us
Oh,
a brief
in terms of life
life
goals.
goals? Right.
Yes.
So Lynette, can you give us a brief synopsis of how that related to Bryce, and then we're going to talk about that in real life instances, please.
Okay. So the character of Bryce in the book, he's an aspiring rap artist. So that's his life goal. So he has to answer the question: how far am I willing to go to live the life that I want to live? Now we all know in the music industry, you hear different things about people getting burned by the management in terms of money, them taking their money. You hear about the women that are involved, like, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, the partying and different things that you can encounter. So some people pay to play, or they fake it till they make it, and they do what they got to do to reach the top. So that's what's going on with Bryce. He wants to live this grandiose life, and so he has to say, how bad do I want it? Do I want to sell my soul to the devil to be rich, or or what? So I don't want to give away the story, but
Right.
it unfolds in the book. So
All right.
what do you think about that? When you think about life goals, this is for you. When you think of both of you, when you think about life goals, how bad do you want it, and how far are you willing to go to get what you want in life? Not just goals. I'll say it could be a relationship,
Right.
it could be a job,
Anything.
or it could be finance.
Right. Okay. You want me to start on that, Nike? You got something?
Go ahead. Let me see what you
All
got.
right. You know what? Now, I come across this often because I'm a big believer in goals. I think that if you're going to get anywhere in life, especially if you're aspiring to reach a level, you have to have a goal. So you have to fight for it. To answer the question, I think that you have to be willing, and I always use the term, when you're chasing something, a life goal, you have to marry it. You have to be involved. Now, I don't think you should do things that will hurt others in order to achieve those goals, because I think that comes back around. But short of that, if you really want it, you have to go get it. Nothing's going to be given to you. You have to be committed to it, and you have to continue to strive and strive and strive, because unless you have just the resources to go out and make anything that you want to happen, a lot of time you end up building things from the beginning, from scratch. So again, you have to fight for it. You have to be committed to it. Obstacles are gonna pop up. You have to figure a way around it, but I don't think that you stomp on others' necks in order to achieve goals.
Absolutely.
What do you think, Nike?
To me, this sort of touches on the last topic that we talked about a little bit, because I think it has to do with your mental maturity.
Agreed.
Because when I was young, man, I was chasing bags like,
right.
you know what I mean?
Goal.
It was just like, man, you know what I'm saying? And now that I'm older, it's not as important to me. It's other things that are more important than money to me, right? Not saying that I don't like money, but I like it for different reasons, right? Like I used to be, like the flashy, trying to, this and that, this and that, but for what? You know what I mean? And it's like why am I had to ask myself, like why am I trying to do what I'm trying to do?
Jay, can you mute? Can you lower? We got a little echo, Jay.
You
got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you got some headphones, Jay, plug them headphones in.
Put him on mute. Mute his microphone.
But yeah, so like I was saying, you may go into another.
Oh shucks. Go ahead.
You may go into another. Man, what was we talking about? Y'all distract me. I know.
How bad you want it? How bad do you want that?
Right. So sometimes it's all about the mental, like, you know what I mean? Where you are in your life, like what makes you happy. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like I can afford certain things if I want to put my money into that, right?
Right.
But I choose not to because for what? Right?
Right. Well, like you said, I mean,
Now I'm at a different point. But when I was younger,
right,
it was all about chasing the bag. How
That's
bad
right.
you want it? Oh, I want it.
And you're
You know
gonna
what
go
I
get
mean?
it.
How bad you want to get it? Oh, I gotta get it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. It's a mentality.
And it's a different mentality, I think, especially it depends on how desperate your situation is too.
But
right?
I also think that you need to have that because we're talking about drive. That's what you're talking about, Nike. Now, your drive was so strong, you forsake other things that you realize now that maybe you shouldn't have, but you
Right.
needed to have that drive to be successful, especially when you're trying to build something. All right, we're going to go to Lynette, and then we're going to come to you, Jay. Jay, can you hear us? We can't hear you, though. Is he still on mute? Jay. We can't hear you, Jay. Jay.
So,
all right, Jay's going to work on
Jay.
Lynette.
So basically, I agree with what TL was saying. I agree with what you were saying also, Stacy. Everything turns back to our decision making process and our mental state of mind and what's important to us. I agree that it has to do with the drive and it's what motivates us, but at the same time, it depends on what you're motivated about. Like you know what I mean? Like because some goals are not always good goals.
Absolutely.
Like if you might murder somebody to get to where you want to be. So you can be driven to do those things. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's a good thing. So it all goes back to your mental state of mind and and what's important to you.
Absolutely. So. And Jay, can you hear us? We still can't hear you, JD. I think you might have turned your volume all the way down. Are you on the laptop, Jay?
Mute your mic. Unmute your mic.
See, but then you got to turn his volume up, and then we're going to get the echo. Jay, can you hear us?
Look, now, when he came in like a lion, now.
Hey, Jay, let that busting on you. Yeah, we can't hear you, Jay. Ease your volume up, man.
Try to go out and come back in.
I'm gonna kick you out and then come back in.
Yeah, it might
work. Got that?
Sometimes that's what happens.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
No, but Lynette, and again, I think as we get older and more mature, naturally, our priorities change. Because,
they should.
You know, as they should, right. So even what Bryce was going through, we all go through that when you're aspiring to something. You know, when you're thinking outside the box, because that's the person that's gonna drive and want to eat the items that are not what's just on his plate. He wants to reach over and pull more items on the plate, which is tougher. So again, you have to have that drive in order to do that. I remember when I was coming up, when we had the business going, I was running 7 days a week. Now I had a goal in mind and that I was shooting for, but as I look back, can I have done things differently? Of course you consider that. That's a part of growth. When you look back at your life, you're supposed to find things and say, I could have done that differently.
Right.
Do I regret?
Especially when it comes to family.
Especially when it comes to family, absolutely.
Right.
But at the same time, Nike, to your point, I had to have that drive in order to get it.
Right.
You know what I mean? In order to get it.
They wouldn't have ate. Right.
Right. We would have never achieved what we did had that drive not been there. So you need that, but I guess it's just a balancing act. But the other thing, and I don't know if this was the case with Bryce that was in the book, it helps, and this goes back to something that we talked about during the first one. If the person that you're rolling with is on the same page with you, because then they understand why you're doing what you're doing, and those, like you said, Nike, those late nights and all those things. Like for me, those late nights coming in 4 a.m, it was understood it has to be done versus why you keep coming in this late. Right. You know what I mean? Is that Jay again?
Right.
And Black, do you remember when I came past your club and I was like, yo, I had that book, that shit like this.
Yeah.
You looking at me like I'm crazy. Like,
I remember.
This cat done
He's
lost
like,
his
read
mind.
this.
You know
it was a programming book. Yeah.
Yeah, a computer book on Unix. And he was like, what? Like I had never heard of it, but I saw how much money you can make. I told you. I said, if I learn what's in this book.
Yep, I remember.
Remember?
I remember.
I sat back. It took me about 6, maybe 9 months to get through that book.
As soon as you walked out, I talked about you like a dog. I was like,
I know you did.
Yeah,
this dude talking about. Hey, yo, but that paid off, man, because I stuck to it.
I remember.
You know what I mean?
Jay, can you hear us?